Hello, and welcome to First Chapter Friday. This week we'll take a look at Jude Banks' Superhero by Anne Hood. Chapter 1. The day before I killed my sister, she told me to drop dead. We had just read Romeo and Juliet in honors English, so I was aware of the irony. In the play, Juliet tells her nurse to find out who Romeo is. If he be married, she says, my grave is like to be my wedding bed. Katie had to explain to me why this was ironic, of course. For exactly 25 days a year, Katie and I are the same age. We were 11 months and 5 days apart. And if you had to guess, you would think Katie was 11 months and 5 days older than me because she knew more than I did. Had a gigantic vocabulary and in every possible way seemed like she was the oldest. But in fact, I was 11 months and 5 days older than Katie. 12 to her 11, except for 25 days in July, that this year would not matter. Katie belonged in honors English. She loved to read, memorized poems for fun, and walked around dramatically reciting lines from Shakespeare in a fake British accent. She had skipped a grade, which was why she was in 7th grade with me. The teachers had wanted her to skip a grade last year too, but Mom didn't want her with kids that much older than her. Someone like that, a grade skipper and a book lover and a Shakespeare memorizer, should be in honors everything. I, on the other hand, was still not sure why I'd been placed there. Surely it had been a mistake, an administrative error of some kind. Mom said it was to show me that I was smarter than I thought I was. You have as much to say as Katie does, Mom told me. You just need to speak up. Still, I spent most of my time in honors English feeling like an imposter. It's verbal irony because we know she's gonna die on her wedding bed, Katie explained. We do? I said. How do we know that? Because it's Romeo and Juliet, Katie screeched at me, pulling at her hair. She pulled at her hair a lot because she got frustrated a lot, especially at me, who was not as smart as she was and also liked to drive her to the point of pulling at her hair, which was short, red, and stuck out funny when she yanked on it. They die! That's what the play is about. That time, though, I wasn't trying to make her crazy. I hadn't read the whole play yet. I just read the parts Miss Landers assigned each night. I was not a skip-ahead kind of person. I thought I was falling in love with the wrong person, I said truthfully. Katie groaned dramatically. Act 5, Scene 3, Romeo sees Juliet and thinks she's dead when she's really only faking her death, and so he drinks poison, and then when she wakes up and sees him dead beside her, she takes his dagger and says, "Oh, happy dagger, this is thy sheath," and stabs herself to death on her wedding bed. This being Katie, she delivered all of this information in one breathless rush until she got to the dagger part, at which point she stood up, acted horrified to see Romeo dead, and then slowly pretended to remove the dagger before she said, "Oh, happy dagger, this is thy sheath," very melodramatically plunging the imaginary dagger into her chest and falling to the floor. But Katie, I said, standing over her as she lay completely still on the floor, one hand clutching the dagger and the other swept across her eyes. A person who doesn't know any of this, who's maybe way back in Act 1, Scene 5, can't know that Juliet is doing verbal irony. Katie didn't respond or move. I poked her with my toe. Come on, get up. She moved her arm across her eyes and glared at me. You don't do verbal irony, she said. It's a literary device. I just think, stop, you're being so annoying. Katie jumped up. Just drop dead, she yelled and stomped off, her hair sticking up like a cartoon electrocuted person. Sorry, I called after her, smiling to myself. My sister was so dramatic, so absurd, so funny, so smart, and so uniquely unique, and I loved her more than anything in the world. I told her that too, every night before we drifted off to sleep. Mom told us that from the start, we were inseparable, like peanut butter and jelly, like Simon and Garfunkel, Tom and Jerry, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. All good things came in twos, she said. In some countries, she said it was good luck to bring 2 mandarin oranges to someone you love. What would a person do with a bat but not a ball, or one shoelace, or a single chopstick? Most nights, we still fell asleep next to each other, yin and yang. All day we squabbled and teased and rolled our eyes at each other. At night, though, we lay side by side on big bed chairs, or on the sweet summer grass, or under down comforters, and we wrapped our fingers together and whispered our secrets to each other. We laughed about our fights, about our parents, about our cat Sparkle. We made big plans to sail around the world, not someday, but soon, like maybe even next week or next month, to live in a yurt, to write a movie, a play, a saga, and small plans, like going to sailing camp so we could sail around the world. Eventually, one of us, usually me, fell asleep, and the other one, usually Katie, gently guided them to bed. Who needs LMNO when you got J and K? We'd whisper to each other, an old joke from way back when we were 3 and learning our ABCs. That night before I killed Katie was no different. We stretched out on our beanbags, the ones we got the previous Christmas, with our names printed on them, and we held hands and faced each other. I don't really want you to drop dead, Judo, Katie said. Only to her was I Judo, or Judy, or JJ, or Jinx. I know, I said. I'm sorry I read the whole play in one go, she said with a big sigh. I couldn't help myself. Katie, smarty pants Katie, I sang softly. She was also Katie Did, Katzenjammer, KK. I'm sorry my brother is of inferior intelligence, she said, squeezing my hand. Jude of all trades, master of none. Do you think I'll ever be a famous actress, JJ? Absolutely. And will I win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction? Most definitely, I said. Also for nonfiction. And the Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize. Nobel, huh? My dearest brother, it's Nobel Prize, not Noble. Though it's surely noble to win one, she added kindly. But you'll win both, Nobel and Noble. Lucky me, Katie said. Lucky you, I said, drifting off to sleep. Ya, love ya, teb ya, Katie said softly. I smiled. When we were in 4th grade, she'd made us both memorize how to say I love you in 20 different languages. She'd learned them all, plus 10 more. Russian, I said sleepily. Show off. Katie stood and pulled me to my feet. She put a hand on the small of my back and led me down the hall to my room. Without asking, she switched on the nightlight, knowing I still woke sometimes during the night and was afraid of the dark. I climbed into bed and managed a TMO. Katie kissed my hand lightly. An easy one, but I'll forgive you on the grounds of sleepiness. I wish I remembered if she had said anything else before she slept. I wish I remembered every detail, but I fell asleep immediately. And when I woke in the middle of the night, grateful for the nightlight glowing softly, I wished I had just gone back to sleep instead of getting out of bed. So, Jude Banks' Superhero is the story of Jude, whose sister has died. His mother is devastated and has kind of checked out. His dad's trying to hold things together. And Jude is feeling a lot of guilt. And his parents forced him to go into this grief group where he meets this other girl, Clementine, who has also lost a sibling. And it's his relationship with her that starts to make him think that life might be okay eventually without Katie. But Clementine is struggling even more than Jude and feels this terrible guilt. And now he's worried he won't be able to save Clementine. So it's a beautiful story, heartfelt. And if you're interested in reading it, you can check it out at your school library, at your public library, or you can always buy your own copy. Happy reading.